In this video, I will show you two ways how you can quickly generate a locator for any web element on the web page using built-in Playwright tools. All right, so let's get into it. And we're going to use this project template for the practice assignment at Bondar Academy for our Petclinic test application. So let me run this test real quick just to open the application on the home page. All right, so this is our lovely pets. And let's assume that we want to automate this menu items. And let's say we want to click on veterinarian's menu item and how to find the locator quickly for this menu item. So Playwright has awesome tool called Pick Locator built into the Playwright. Let me show you how to use it. So going back to Visual Studio Code, here on the left, click on the Test Explorer, and in the bottom, you would have this Playwright dropdown. Click on that. Here you have a projects that you can select which project you want to run, and scroll a little bit down, you have a tools section. And here is this tool, Pick Locator. So click on this guy and you immediately redirect it back to test application. And look, when I hover over any element on the page, Playwright automatically highlights what locator will be for this element. So if I want to click on veterinarian's menu item, look, the locator would be get by role, button, and name veterinarians. So pretty cool. What's next? I click on that, then navigate back to Visual Studio Code, and this locator automatically copied and pasted to this console in the top of Visual Studio Code. Then I just hit enter, and then this locator copied automatically into the clipboard to use it later on. Now I can use it in my test, and I type something like await page dot command V, and then this locator is pasted into the code, and then I want to click on that. All right, so let's move on. Let's say we click on this guy, and now we want to click on the second item. So we repeat the same operation again. I click Pick Locator, I click on this guy, going back to Visual Studio Code, the locator copied inside of Visual Studio Code, I hit enter, new line, await page dot command V dot click. Here we go. The second step is generated. So now let's run this test to see if it's actually working. Running the test. And we are on veterinarian's page. Works perfectly fine. And look what's important here. So when the Playwright generates the locators for us, it prioritizes generating the user visible type of the locators using get by role type of the locator, which is very important for readability and reliability of our test later on. So it seems pretty straightforward and simple, right? But don't rush too much. I will show you some of the bottlenecks of this approach. So let's assume that we want now to select, let's say, edit vet button for this veterinarian, which is Linda Douglas, for example. Let's try to use Pick Locator tool and see what's going to happen. So I click Pick Locator and I want to click on this button. So I click on it, going back, locator is copied, hit enter, and then I use await page dot command V, and then click. All right, so it's a little bit wider. Let me make it like this. All right, now we fit the screen. So if I run this, it's going to work. So let me show you. Running the test. And it perfectly able to click on edit vet button for this veterinarian. But look at the locator that was generated. So it's kind of dirty, to be honest, right? So look, so the first element was get by role row, which is awesome. And then Linda Douglas, dentistry and edit. So it picked all the text in this row, including for some reason, text related to the edit vet button, which is, well, actually not cool. So let's adjust this locator manually a little bit to make it a little bit nicer. So we can remove this kind of stuff. Then what's next? The second one was, okay, within this row, find a button, which is the first button in the row. And this is kind of also a red flag. So it wants to select the first button in the row and delete that is the second button in the row. And imagine the situation if, for example, design of this page was changed and the order of the buttons was flipped. So what happened next? Instead of edit that button, your script gonna click delete that button, which is absolutely not good way to do. So instead of using the indexes, we need to update this locator to be more user interface friendly. So I will keep get by role, but instead of using index, I will use this. I want to use name of the button, which is edit that, right? Is it correct? It is correct. And in this case, I don't need the first anymore. This is how it would look like. So find the row Linda Douglas with the button, edit that, and click on that. Let's see if it's going to work. Yes, and it also works successfully. So you see, we took a generated locator and adjusted it a little bit to be more nicer and more reliable for the context of our application. All right, so let's move on. Let's say that here on the specialties, we want to select a radiology specialty. But before doing that, we need to select on this dropdown. So let's try to use a Pick Locator tool for this task as well. Will it be able to handle it or not? So I click Pick Locator, going back and look what we have right now. So it's offering us to click on Get by Text Dentistry, including this icon, which it recognized as a text. But again, this is absolutely not a perfect locator for our case, because if this veterinarian will have a different specialty assigned, then this locator is gonna fail and it's not gonna work. So for this particular case, the Pick Locator tool, well, let's be honest, it's just failed. It's not gonna work. Instead, we need to find the locator manually. So I make right click, inspect, and look what's gonna be the best option. So the best option in this example would be to use probably this class drop-down display, and let's write this manually. Await page locator class drop-down display, and then click. All right. And all right, let's assume we figured out this. We click on this guy. Let's use one more time Pick Locator, and now we select this radiology checkbox. Let's see what it's going to generate. So Pick Locator, and I want to select this radiology checkbox. So it's offering us to use Get by Label Radiology. Let's see if it's going to work. So I'm copying this. Locator is pasted here, and then I use await page paste locator by radiology, and then I use method check. Let's run this test. And it actually worked. But again, so even if this worked fine, this is not the best and not optimal way of using Locator for the checkboxes, because from the Playwright perspective, the more correct way would be to use something like this, which is get by role, and then we select checkbox with a name, hold on, I need the curly braces right here, and I need name right here. All right, so this looks better. Let's see if it's gonna work. Yeah, and it worked also perfectly. So even the Playwright was able to generate for us working locator that was able to pick the checkbox. More correct way of working with the checkbox would be using Get by Role checkbox locator. Okay. All right. So this is how the Pick Locator works. And let me show you the second example where you can use this tool if you like to use UI mode, Playwright UI mode. So I go to terminal and type npx playwright test -- UI and opening our UI mode. All right, run this test. So it's executed exactly the same test as we did before. And in UI mode, you can use Pick Locator right here. So you can click on this little icon over here, and then the same way, just hovering over the elements inside of the snapshot, you can generate the locator. For example, for the owners, you click on that, and here we go. Your locator is pasted right here. Now you need to copy this locator and use inside of your script. And it's going to work exactly the same way as I showed you option number 1 using Visual Studio Code. I like the first approach a little bit more because when you use a Visual Studio Code plugin, it copies this locator automatically back to Visual Studio Code. While if you use Playwright UI mode, you need manually to copy this locator and then paste inside of your Visual Studio Code. So, but again, it's up to you. That's also an option how you can generate the locators. All right, so let's quickly summarize what we talk about it. So Playwright has this great tool, Pick Locator, to generate a working locator for any element on your web page. But there is a catch, that the generated locators are not always kind of perfect. So the advantage of this approach is obvious, that you can get a working locator in the situations when you are completely stuck and you don't know what to do. But the disadvantage that locators can be kind of a little bit dirty. So if you use this approach, check every locator that Playwright generates and adjust it if needed according to the Playwright best practices. If you like this and want to learn more, check the As That with Playwright course at Bondar Academy, where I teach all this fun stuff and we go into the details with practice assignments, how to use Playwright according to the best practices. If you like this video, put thumbs up and see you in the next one.